Hello, a word from the Sisters of St. Francis and their associates and partners. Our word today is about the connection between the sustainable lifestyle and social justice. Sustainable living is a global issue that affects the survival of our planet and all peoples. Let me give you a few examples. One, disadvantaged communities live and often work in some of the most polluted environments, like near landfills, near chemical plants, near bus stations. 3 out of 5 Black and Latino Americans live in communities with uncontrolled toxic waste. Refugees and persons displaced due to natural disasters, civil wars, job shortages are in danger of increased risk for human trafficking. Floods, hurricanes, and heat waves, blizzards, and tornadoes find the poor with little economic power to escape or rebuild or survive. The COVID pandemic shows us clearly the work that needs to be done in terms of equity and social justice. We have seen that COVID and its aftermath has affected low income and people of color disproportionately. I've listed some here of the ways that that's happening, and I'm sure you can add to that list. We recognize that sustainable living is about looking at how we might live and how our choices in society need to consider the quality of life for myself, for all people, and for the next generations. The present methods we use often cause suffering, affecting low-income families, disenfranchised people, people of color, the disabled, in disproportionate ways. We as Joliet Franciscans and our associates have 4 corporate stances. I'd like to use these 4 topics and look at one dimension of the issue and give an idea of something we can do differently to make a difference. In the stance of nuclear disarmament, the issue I'm drawing attention to is nuclear testing and waste. The environmental question is the dangerous effects on people, plants, and animals in the vicinity. And what is an idea for us that we can do? What can we do? I might ask for us, what is my own energy consumption that drives the market and uses scarce resources? What is my carbon footprint? There are websites that can figure that out for us. I invite you to consider trying that out. Secondly, reverence for earth and all peoples. The issue I chose is waste. Where does the waste of the world go? How much do we waste? How often do I purchase single-use items that end up in the garbage? When I stop to think of those things, it really blows my mind. The idea I offer is to cut my own use of plastic in half in 3 months. Measure my own use over 1 month and see what I can do to cut that in half over the next 2 months. The third corporate stance is about human trafficking, the business of using men, women, and children as a commodity. Our economic system is unsustainable, leaving some vulnerable to this abuse. We cannot sustain the extreme demand of resources, including people, and expect to have a healthy planet for years to come. So what might we do? How are the products or the businesses I use using resources and achieving their low costs? The idea for me is to develop further my conscious shopping habits. We might use the Better World Shopping Guide as an example. This is the app here on the slide, in order to look at companies' ratings on justice issues. The fourth corporate stance is racism. Racism defined as prejudice plus misuse of power. Racial prejudice being a negative attitude toward a person or group, usually based on stereotype without knowledge of a group or experience. I give you 4 examples that have been in the news, and I know you can mention more of these. One is Flint, Michigan, and the water contamination. The second is the New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina and the rebuilding inequity that we saw over the years, still not rebuilt in many places. The third, Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, and the Navajo Nation, their experience of uranium mining and toxic waste. And a new one I've read and heard recently is in the Bronx, New York, toxic industrial site location and waste management, where those management companies are built. I saw that recently, and that they are struggling to see that those kind of places aren't built in their neighborhoods. So what might we do? One, speak directly and honestly when we observe racism in land use or environmental policies in our cities or our nation. Learn about all we can about racism through workshops, books, movies, dialogues. I spoke of a few examples, a few issues where social justice and sustainable living overlap, but it is all pervasive. I leave you with the lyrics of a song written by folk singer Pete Seeger in 2008. He was 89 years old, and he wrote it for Berkeley, who has a zero waste commission, and this song was for them. And I think the words can guide sustainable living choices. If it can't be reduced, reused, repaired, rebuilt, refurbished, refinished, resold, recycled, or composted, then it should be restricted, redesigned, or removed from production. Quite a challenge. Let us choose reverence for all creation. Thank you.